Imagine a tape so unimaginable that the disturbing images haunt you for the rest of your life. Now imagine it were real. Imagine the unknown before your eyes that lay on a tape, vapid of origin. Would you play this tape, even if you knew it was perilous? It may be in our nature to do such things. Curiosity drives us to seek the truth no matter how terrifying. What if a tape leads you to a tragic story under extraordinary circumstances? A story with no answers, no logic. What if? What if you only had 7 days to answer a question too eluding to seek? Secrets that, if discovered, lead to unimaginable minds of the darkness unknown. What if a tape leads you to a tragic story under extraordinary circumstances? A story with no answers, no logic. What if? What if you only had 7 days to answer this question, too eluding to seek? Secrets that, if discovered, lead to unimaginable minds of the darkness unknown.
Hello?
7 days.
To experience this movie to the fullest, you really have to put yourself in Rachel's shoes. I mean, you have to understand what she's going through, the mystery of it all, and the intensity and the time ticking down. It's much like an inmate waiting to be put on death row and awaiting that day, only he's been charged with a riddle. I'm not going to explain all the nuance and the little things that go on in the film, especially visually, because it's something that if I was to explain, it would ruin the film and essentially mean nothing to you if you haven't seen it. What I'd like to concentrate on is the mood of it and the characters, because that's what drives the plot.
The overall plot I'll dip in and out of, I'm sure, but I may as well just give the basic overall of the flick. It's from 2002, so if you haven't seen it, this is your spoiler alert. A mysterious death of a girl prompts her mother to seek help from her friend Rachel as to the cause. The opening shocks you with the effect, and the end result leaves you with many questions. If you haven't seen it, you'll know what I mean. The rest of you already know. Rachel, I suppose, is emotionally compelled at first, and then driven by curiosity, then out of necessity. The story of the cursed tape infects all the main characters, and everyone's life depends on solving the mystery of who this girl was and the circumstances surrounding this strange tape. The ticking of the clock is felt and sometimes reminded by day. 7 days and you'll be claimed by that girl. Not knowing why is the unsettling part. The movie doesn't depend on the shocking looking girl. It supports itself on emotional attachments to the characters while smothering you with intense anxiety of the time running out. Reaching a town of mystery, the truth is discovered, or thought to be. Samara generates her own aura throughout the town expressed by the chilling dialogue of the father and others. With Rachel's life on the line as well as her son's and her ex-lover, it all ends almost on how it began. You're satisfied with the indulgence and in your curiosity of Samara's story. However, when reflecting on the movie, you still may feel the void and emptiness inside that madness brings. At least, that's the way I felt.
It goes without saying that Rachel's beautiful. I know this. I mean, I look at the girl, awesome, right? So, I don't know if I'm actually going to show this or not. But you know Terry from, Friday the 13th Part 2. Her butt rivals her butt. I gotta admit, it's pretty awesome. But one thing about Rachel is obviously she cares for her son deeply. I don't know why, because this kid is the weirdest kid I've ever met. He refers to as Rachel. Why? I don't know. He sees things like the kid from The Sixth Sense. What that's about? No clue. No idea. Even his dad is kind of messed up because it doesn't really apply to the plot. I'll get into that a little bit later. Like I was saying, Aiden is creepy, man. Like, he just has these stairs that go out into nowhere. I don't know what his problem is. They don't even explain it from the beginning at all. They don't explain it. The kid's just weird. Refers to his mom by her first name. His dad he's estranged from, but knows who he is. One part, his dad's like, "Do you want me around more?" And he's just drawing. He's like, "No." He's odd. And they don't explain that at all. And he has a psychic connection with Samara. Now, why he has this psychic connection, they don't explain any of this. And I think that's one of the main gaps that I have a hard time with the movie. But nonetheless, it adds to it, and he plays it really well. But again, watch that movie, watch The Sixth Sense, and you tell me if there's actually a difference. Because they both have supernatural powers. Apparently they can connect with, you know, some sort of psychic connection with these people. I don't know. But the kid is friggin' weird, man. It's a kind of kid that you would adopt and give up. Like, why take care of this kid? He's so fucking, you know. So, but he's a good boy. He's a good boy, you know. And it's interesting too. He's a weird character in the sense that he like puts his tie on in the morning and he like picks out. Remember when he picks out his mom's dress? His mom's walking half naked down the hallway, which, hey, no complaints. But then he has her dress laid out for her. Everything about this kid is just a little bit peculiar. But his ability to connect with Samara, I'm not quite sure. I think that's more on Samara's side than his side. But why he's being selected, because if you recall earlier in the movie, when he's drawing in the classroom, he's drawing this pre-death of his cousin. So nothing, it doesn't really get explained that way, which, you know what, probably works better for the film, because you overlook it anyway. Noah was an alright character. I mean, he didn't have a lot of lines that were really believable. There's some silly parts, like when he's breaking into the... It was funny, I'll give it that, when he breaks into the asylum at the end and gets all the files and things like that. And there's some pretty creepy moments there too. Was he believable? I think so, but I don't think he was given the strongest lines in the movie. I mean, he's an absolute deadbeat dad. When he goes up to Aiden, he's like, I just don't think I'd be a good father and stuff like that. This kid... but I don't understand the dissonance from his mother, because addressing your mother by your first name kind of has like an emotional dissonance to it. Now the dad I understand, because apparently they're too young, they had sex too young, which I don't get, because they're like in their late 30s and Aiden's like, I don't know, 8 or something like that, so I don't get the too young part or whatever. But, you know, I guess Noah is this immature dude who's, I don't get how he's immature though, because he's holding down a really technical job that's hard to hold down, maintains his life, seems financially secure, but his father was a little bit so he doesn't want to take care of Aiden. Like, I mean, I don't know. I don't know whether to respect Noah because he went out and well, you know what happens to him at the end, but I don't know if you respect him more because he went out and tried to solve this mystery, but I don't buy that either. I think he just kind of like had a thing with Rachel. That's, you know, I think that's the deal. When it comes to Aiden, I don't even know if he really had, like, at one point, to be fair, she said, you know, Aiden saw the tape. Okay, fine, so he saw the tape. Is that his primary goal, to help Aiden, or is it to help, I don't know, because he asked him in the car, do you want me around more? And then Aiden's like, no. Just like, no, like, so that was interesting, but overall, the character, he just supports the plot. There's nothing really, you don't feel for him. It's not like you're intense about him. You're intense about Aiden, you're intense about Rachel and their relationship. Noah's this expendable kind of guy in my mind. This guy that, like, you know, Samara shows up. You want to see what's going to happen because you want to see how fucked up he looks, because when you got the shot of the girl in the closet, you're like, holy, you know, and it was really bang, quick like that. So you do want to see it again. And, you know, in all honesty, I won't ruin it for people that, I'm ruining it. Like, let's be honest, I've told you enough. And at the end of this video, I probably fucked it up by ruining the ending too. But omit that, and it's a good movie. But he's a believable character, but he's not the strongest, and yeah, I'll leave it at that. So I do have a couple really top-notch favorite parts for me. One of my favorite parts is in the asylum where Becca, Rachel's in there and she's talking, and she goes, you know, when will I know, or something to that effect, and then she folds over one thumb and she goes, 4 days, she'll show you. You know, that was really good. That's a really good scene. That's why I'm saying, like, this movie didn't rely on shocking images necessarily. The tape was terrific. Samara, the amount that she was shown was terrific, but little scenes like that just, it was amazing. The fact that Samara seems wronged at some point, like that she's the victim, throws you off. Not for long, not for long. And by the way, don't watch my videos because they're spoilers, okay? But anyways, the fact that she was wronged, and then you find out why. And that part I won't, like, I'm giving away a lot, but I won't reveal that. You know, and then I'd have to say the most powerful scene in the movie is not the shocking parts with Samara, not necessarily dialogue or anything like that. It was when Samara's mom, Mrs. Morgan, I forget her first name, but she goes up behind Samara, and it's this incredibly morbid, sad, I don't know how to describe it, scene where she flips the bag over her head and suffocates her daughter. But at that point in the movie, you're like, how could you? And then she drops her into the well. And it's just, it's an astounding moment. I think it's one of the most shocking, disturbing, hard to deal with visuals in any film I've seen, actually. Yet, applied to the story, just drills it. So it's such an important part of that movie. So that 5-second clip is so important. So those are just a couple of my favorite parts. One thing that does puzzle me, though, is that this town, okay, I forget the name of the town or this island, we'll just call it the island. So they're on the island, and all this shit went down, right? Like, okay, so horses are jumping and drowning. You have a missing girl that was adopted, I guess. Yeah, she was adopted. I think it was said in the movie. And then, so there's a suicide, the whole town goes to shit. There's an asylum that is, I guess, now shut down. She was put there, but no, this is A Nightmare on Elm Street complex that I keep coming back to. It drives me nuts. Nobody outside of this town has heard of this. It's all kind of gathered through little snippets and pieces of newspapers and stuff like that, which makes no sense. I mean, if something like that actually happened on an island where hundreds of, well, maybe not hundreds, but like tens of horses were showing up washed ashore, it'd be more of a movie, a news story. Like, I mean, for Christ's sake, Kim Kardashian gains, like, 2 pounds on her ass, and it's on, Time magazine. But this is like the weirdest thing that's ever happened, and nothing. It's exactly like Elm Street that way, where all these kids die in this town, and nobody cares. And then it gets to the silliest point, where the town itself doesn't even operate. So how is gasoline coming in? Who's employed? How is money coming in? So it gets wild that way. This island is still functioning, but everybody, I don't get how they work or where they make money from. But regardless, the fact that the story didn't get beyond that island is a mystery. And there's another thing on top of that too, because at the beginning of the film, this tape was being passed around, right? So where they say, well, the mystery of the tape, but there are the recordings of people dying. Like, for instance, the girl at the beginning, her boyfriend died. Well, what about the file on him? And why wouldn't they connect that? So yeah, there's a few holes. I don't have a lot of complaints about the movie because typically I take off and I make fun of this, I make fun of that. The only thing I can really say is, hey Aiden, your mom, But I have no complaints about this movie. I think it's probably the best movie to come out of the 2000s. I'd have to look into that more, but just off the top of my mind, I think The Ring sticks out. So thanks Japan for making Ringu, because it brought us The Ring. Not a fan of subtitles, but I love this movie. So, I don't know, let's hear my final thoughts.
In my opinion, the film is one of the top movies to come out of the 2000s. Not just a horror film, but as a film for many genres. It holds mystery, terror, emotional ties to the characters, a thick atmosphere, and beautifully shot, and the list goes on. The idea of a film haunting you and the only solution is to solve it or die is kind of the same idea that Saw rolls with. This is on a different level with more at stake. It's inescapable. You must get the answer, or an unknown and horrifying ending will come your way. It must have been more disturbing come from Rachel's mind, having seen the physical results from Samara's slaying. You get lost in this film and forget your surroundings. Maybe watching this review has the same curse as well. Maybe if you're watching this and dare to leave a message, I'll summon Samara and you'll receive a terrifying message in your inbox. I wouldn't play with that though. You never know what haunts behind you.